In recent years, we've seen the rise of a new, mostly virtual economy, the sharing economy. Companies like Uber and Lyft allow you to share your car with someone for some extra cash, but the cash generated isn't all that extra. Companies like Uber and Lyft pride themselves as innovators. They have a sleek Silicon Valley veneer to them. They market themselves as the new era of taxis. They act as if they've supplanted the outdated taxi industry, rife with corruption. The public seems to accept this perception. People generally see peer-to-peer services as improvements due to their lower cost and higher quality overall. But this is a carefully coordinated facade. These peer-to-peer services are major downgrades from nearly all perspectives. On the surface, Uber and Lyft seem to be huge improvements over the corrupt, archaically outdated taxi industry. It may seem that way because these alternatives are usually much cheaper, and they constantly advertise new, high-paying jobs. It's true that companies like Uber and Lyft are creating a great number of new jobs for unskilled workers, but these jobs aren't worth celebrating. Uber advertises their drivers take home $25 per hour, and Lyft advertises that their drivers take home $35 per hour. Both of these numbers are extremely misleading. While it's true that Uber and Lyft drivers can potentially make this kind of money on a good day, they definitely don't take it all home. First and foremost, Uber and Lyft both take a huge chunk of the money produced from their services, now upwards of 25%. You also have to account for taxes, and because Uber and Lyft drivers are hired as independent contractors, drivers are taxed at a rate of over 15%. Just in taxes and fees, drivers already lose 40% of their income, and this is on top of other expenses like gas, oil changes, and vehicle depreciation. After accounting for one's expenses and the low cost of service these companies charge customers, Uber and Lyft drivers sometimes make less than minimum wage, or even end up dipping into the negatives. These practices border on slave labor, but it's technically legal because, as mentioned before, Uber and Lyft drivers are hired as independent contractors. This adds an extra touch of appeal to the unskilled workers Uber and Lyft seem to target. The idea that someone with little marketable skills or education can own their own small business where they make their own hours is oftentimes enough to convince people to sign up for these companies, a decision that is often not in their best interest. But with such low costs, more people are bound to start using peer-to-peer services like Uber and Lyft. This produces a lot more money in the economy as a whole, which will end up benefiting the employees in other ways. At least, that's what one might think given how much their independent contractors' money these companies take. But that's simply not true. Last year, Uber operated at a huge loss, a colossal loss of over $1 billion. Even factoring in the huge chunk of money they take from their drivers, Uber still isn't profitable. Lyft is in a similar position, with a net loss of $606 million. This is because Uber and Lyft's business model isn't sustainable. Fares as low as theirs simply aren't profitable. This leaves them with two options. First, they could raise fares, but this would mean losing their edge on the much more expensive and profitable taxi industry. This means the only viable option for them is to eliminate the need for their slaves, independent contractors, and they intend to do just that. Uber has been developing self-driving cars for years now. They were testing these cars, but ceased after one of the cars fatally struck a pedestrian. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey banned Uber's self-driving cars as a result. A few other states joined Governor Ducey in banning the cars, but Uber has proceeded to once again begin testing them this year. Uber knows that they must eliminate their workforce in order to be profitable because of their extremely low fares, and they'll do anything to make it happen, with Lyft surely following suit. This will effectively eliminate over 2 million jobs. This is on top of all the laid-off taxi drivers Lyft and Uber stole business from. I know there is some overlap with former taxi drivers and peer-to-peer rideshare drivers, but the principle stands. Uber and Lyft are cancers on the economy. They have disrupted the natural order of taxi services, and not in a good way. This has led many countries and areas of the United States and Canada to ban companies like Uber. I hope other countries will follow their example. Till next time, I'm et al.